Hello people, and welcome to another Dose of Drew knife review. This time it is the Civivi Conspirator button lock flipper, which is, quite honestly, pretty slick. Yeah, it's right up there. It's pretty good, actually. I have the Colborti. I bought this one. This one is my personal example of the Conspirator. I got the Colbortia wood with the Nitro V. It comes in several micarta versions, G10, as well as a VG10 and 9CR18 CR18 based Damascus. Pretty slick, in case you can't tell already. Super drop shot with the plunge lock engage. You can flip it with the button, you can flip it with the flipper, and you can even use the fuller. Oops. So the angle from there we go. So yeah, it definitely has quite a bit going on. To give you an idea, I believe, let's see here, just I had already done a little bit. See if we can't get that in there. 120 thousandths, pretty much. Decent blade stock, really high saber grind. It is a saber grind right up into the center of that fuller. This almost looks like a clip point, but no, it is a drop point with a nice swedge on it, and it is almost 1.5 inches. I'm going to have to get this one now because this is actually a wider blade than you would think. So yeah, almost 1.2 inches, 1.175 inches. So yeah, there you go. Got quite the little bit there, maybe even been in there, maybe 1.2 inches when it comes to the width of this. So that's quite the, and it comes to a very, very thin edge behind the edge. Let me see if I can get that to even show, if you can see. The fact that it disappears to almost nothing should tell you all you need. Yes, I moved that along my hand. That does not mean it is dull. It means I'm very light pressure to the point of where it barely casts a shadow. Yeah, very, very nice edge. Nice Nitro V. This, spoiler alert, if you're looking for a quick review, yeah, this thing's good. But let's give you a better idea of what that 8.1 inches and everything has to do with it. We'll do a quick little full-size feldspar here, along with the smaller feldspar, so you can get a look at those. Right there you go, fairly significant, just slightly larger than the full-size feldspar. Definitely a good bit there. Let's see, what else can we pull out here? Well, we will have to have a Kershaw blur just to give you a good little bit there. Again, slightly larger than the Kershaw blur. And of course, to go along with Kershaw blur, not just any leak, but a random leak. And there you go. So definitely larger than either of those. What do you say could possibly be? Oh my goodness. Well, let's see if we can't get a little bit more here. I will go with the Benchmade mini grip and the Benchmade bug out. Bigger than either of those. Are we going to find something here that we can use? I think we might. And let me see if I can't get just a little bit here. So let's see. There is the Para 3 lightweight in the CPM 27 to give you that little bit. And one more here with the Para 2. So you can see the Para 2 is just slightly longer, so a little bit more, with a little bit more real estate for the hand. But if you take it to where it's actually gripped, to where it can grip, very similar gripping space minus the choil as the Para 2, if not just slightly more. So it gives you a really good grip in the hand. That should be enough. If anyone needs a little bit more size comparison, I don't know what else to tell you. Wow. Drop shot action, check. Totally, right? Absolutely smooth. Easy deployment? Yeah, check. Right? It is definitely, the design is simple, but they really nailed it, especially on a more budget knife. Nice, simple, generic handle. Lots of room. You can get back. You can choke up a little bit. Not only that, you can actually get this in a fairly decent pinch grip. And I'll show you a little bit here where you can sort of pinch, and it doesn't, right? Like I can squeeze right on top of that button and it's still locked. I actually have to get it below the surface for that thing to drop. So you can pinch grip this thing, which is nice. That's one of my, something I always look for is just how comfortable it is in a modified pinch grip for a pocket knife where I'm going down or moving. Yeah, I just totally took a dig on my desk. So yeah, I do that a lot. And with the thumb, yeah, there's some jimping there to get you so you can really dig in. There is nothing in the way of that blade path. Really, really thin behind the edge. In fact, just to even try and get you just a little bit of something here. With the tips. Tips are right behind it. 19.5 thousandths or 195 10,000ths. That's pretty slim behind the edge right there. That's pretty good. And again, the ability of this thing to sit here and flip, drop, wrist flick out, deep carry clip. Not the screws are recessed, but the clip itself is not. If you can see that, there we go. Centered, of course, 2 standoffs. Relatively simple T8 hardware all the way around, which is nice. Civivi's wonderful captive pivot. I really do like the look of the wood on this one. I kind of wish the wood would have been in Damascus instead of micarta. That would have been pretty slick, but it wasn't. So that being what it is, again, this is, I had an idea just from some other online reviews and from the dimensions and that sort of stuff. I like this, the Nitro V steel. There it is. Nitro V. Steel on this is pretty sweet. It's really hard to really start bringing this knife down. I mean, this is good, you guys. The design, simple, easy, aesthetics. It's really hard to not like this. The biggest complaint anyone can make about this is that it's plain. Which, if you're looking for something that has classic styling, stuff that's stood the test of time, it's got a good fit. You can get your fingers back there and really come back. You can have a choked back pinch grip. You can have it choked up. You can have a nice thumb grip to really give yourself put in there. And you can choke back on the thing. There's plenty of room for even large hands. Design is nice. The aesthetics, I like it. I especially really like the wood. The black and green micarta are probably good, but with the black hardware, the wood, I think this looks really classy. The mechanics of it are, it's Civivi and we, you guys. It's Civivi and we. It's on bearings. It's a liner lock. Plunge lock, flipper, liner lock. Not liner lock, sorry. Plunge lock, flipper on, not a liner lock, Andrew. Plunge lock, flipper on bearings by Civivi. This thing has, it does have a tendency to bounce on there if you don't get it right. I'm still learning the timing on that. You can get it. It's also fairly easy if you are letting it drop down to get your finger right where that little blade tang, where the flipper tab is going to come up. So there's a little bit to it. As long as you keep your finger out of there, you're good. Mechanics, my goodness, slicey, high grind, tall blade for a relatively narrow handle. Absolute drop shuttiness, which is good for a plunge lock. There's no frictional bearings on there, or frictional forces on sideways, I should say, to help make that thing a little bit there where you don't have it super tuned. So it is just ridiculous. I find myself more often than not using the fuller than the flipper. Just as a bit of thing there. I mean, I would love to tell you that all the noteworthy points on this, except for the fact that it's a button lock. It's fidgety. You have multiple ways to deploy it. This thing begs you to just sit here. Doing it on camera is always hard because you're doing it sideways, believe it or not. So yeah, that's always fun. Hard to even, the intended purpose, this is a 3.5 inch blade. This is an outstandingly good basic knife. You got this knife, you would be able to use it. The Nitro V steel is going to hold on to an edge very similarly to the 14C28 as Nitro V is essentially 14C28N with a little extra vanadium added. So you're going to see a lot of good edge retention. It's a little bit better edge retention, a little bit lower toughness. Still really good. Still a great amount of corrosion resistance, toughness, and edge retention. Edge retention is not D2, but you're going to see probably better than 9CR18, or at least similar to 9CR18 or VG10. You can find out a lot more if you want to see stuff like that. There's a ton of channels out there. I always wholeheartedly recommend Dr. Laren Thomas and his Knife Steel Nerds blog if you want to know more about knife steel, as well as a whole lot of things that go into how the edge and geometry and all that stuff goes. Fantastic blog. I will be repeating a lot of what I learned from there and my own knowledge, but if you really want to go get your own knowledge, really want to understand and realize that there are people out there doing it and understand what other people are talking about, go look at Laren's blog. He's a lot of good information on there, scientific information. If you like data, there's plenty of it. The cost on this, you guys, this is a no-brainer. This is, I want to say budget, it's under $80. It's under $80. That's a lot for some people when you're looking at Kershaw's and stuff, you know, for around, you know, you can find a lot of Kershaw's and stuff around the $40 to $50 range. There's a lot of other knives that are just absolutely fantastic that are in the budget range, right? Where I've got a couple of them sitting right here. You've got feldspars. So while it is not as cheap, I mean, quite honestly, right, there's the Rat 2 if you want to see that, because I didn't have that in the thing. So there's plenty of knives that are out there that have a similar or a lower price tag. There's a reason I use the feldspar as my thing. It is one of my favorite knives all around, just in design and price. The D2 versions will hold an edge for a long time and will just keep on trucking. Great stuff. Is it a better value than them? Depends on what you want. The button lock is pretty cool. You're looking for a button lock flipper? Yeah. In fact, I would have a hard time for price recommending a better, possibly the Elementum button lock, but it's hard to really recommend a button lock for a better price than this one. I mean, the cost or value on it's pretty good. Expectations, if you're looking for if you're looking to buy a Civivi, your expectations should be outstanding capability, great craftsmanship, and impeccable action. And for the price, action that's going to be similar to much more expensive. And you know what? It's what this delivers. That's what Civivi does. They have been able to take this and just kill it when it comes to being able to do this stuff. There is almost nothing this knife can't do that it was designed to do. Whoa, little bumpers there. So it's really hard to not go through it. My expectations for the knife was that this would be good. I am not disappointed with my purchase. In case anyone missed the beginning part, this is my own personal knife. One of them. I have carried it. It carries well on sweats. It carries well on jeans. It's a little bit heavy for some athletic shorts, but if you've got some like hiking shorts or something that's a little bit tighter, not like gym shorts or like basketball, you know, where they're super loose and flowing. If you've got something like a cargo shorts or something like that, it'll actually do quite well. Those more open, lighter, like mesh athletic shorts, stuff like that are so super light, there's very few things, I'll tell you, there's very few things outside of these that will fit on some of those. Those really do. I have a couple. I'm not going to sully this review with that content, but definitely want to look at this. If I want to look at this, this is actually fantastical. I expected this knife to be good. I didn't expect to be as infatuated with it as I have become. This blade is a freaking wonder. This destroys cardboard. It destroys everything. The edges, it's really thin behind the edge, but it's also fairly steep. Let's see if I can get that. I don't know if you'll ever be able to see that, but maybe not. It's fairly steep. It's not the usual like 13 degrees that Civivi has done several times with all that stuff. It's got a little bit of a higher degree. So it's a little bit less steep, right? So instead of 13 degrees where it's really narrow like that, 13 on the it's a little bit wider right here. So you get a wider thing, which means that this is not as steep out here. So this is a little bit wider, which gives you a bit more material on it, and it adds to the toughness of an already tough steel. This is a really good knife. This will do stuff. You can kind of chop on it. This is something you can pull with one hand while you're holding something and utilize it as a tool. This is something that while you're holding a box, you can pull it with one hand and open the box. If you're holding a stack of envelopes with one hand, you can pull this out of your pocket, start opening letters and dealing with it with one hand, and you can close it with one hand. This is exactly what I expected from this knife, and then some. So I can tell you right now, this is an easy one to recommend. This is going to be a short video, 15 minutes. I'm trying to get my videos down below those 20 and 30-minute videos, so that will be all on this one, you guys. This is hard not to recommend. This is the Civivi Conspirator, which is a fantastic little name. But yeah, they nailed this button lock, you guys. And that tall blade with that high grind, absolutely beautiful. The swedge out here means you can get that tip to maneuver through stuff, even cardboard where you can get curved, where you can get a little bit of angle so that you don't always have to cut straight. You can start cutting curves and stuff. Swedge is great for that. This little tiny fuller doesn't look like it does much, but it is quite literally just enough to get in there. And in fact, I either pull with the button lock. I rarely use the flipper. I either do the button lock or the fuller itself. It really is. I have honestly found that the flipper tab tends to get in the way on this one. I hate to say it like that because I really do like that it has the flipper capability. But with the canoe almost style handle with this little bit right up here, and then not even going all the way out there, probably could have left the flipper tab off. Just saying. But then it wouldn't be quite as fidgety and it wouldn't be quite as cool. So that little bit aside, yeah, there's a couple things. Yeah, it would have been nice if this would have been, if the clip would have been fully sunk in, or even better yet, under the scales, is what it is. It's a minor complaint. Could it have been better now that I look at it? Well, yeah, but is it still awesome? Absolutely. That being said, this is worth the money. This is a damn nice knife, and I highly recommend it. And I think you guys should try it, check it out. If you're in the market for a knife around this thing, there's a lot of knives you could do a lot worse on. This is still pretty good, and you won't be upset. Worst part about it, Nitro V steel for the price. There's places you can find D2 for a little bit more, for just 10 or 15 bucks more. You can find things like SOGs with their, not plunge lock, but the crossbar lock, and they have S35VN and that sort of stuff for around this price range. So there's heavy competition in here. If you are looking for the plunge lock, pull the trigger. If you're looking for something that's good, if you like the wood, if you like the taller blade because you really want that sliciness, the ability to have it move through material really good instead of trying to wedge it through or split it open like an axe, this is your knife. With that being said, you guys, I'm going to wind this down because this really was an easy review to do. It didn't take me long on carrying it. It won't take me long to do it. This one's staying in my collection, and I highly recommend if you're in the market that you try it too. This has been a dose of Drew. Thanks for coming around. You guys, go ahead and watch it twice. Comment as much as you like. And remember, come on back for another time. You guys have a great day.